Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. My name is Michael Muldoon. I'm with AV&R. Really appreciate everyone joining in the webinar. The title of the webinar is the status of 4.0, Industry 4.0 in Canada and how manufacturers can modernize their production. Really, we're in the middle of an economic disruption here. I don't think that's any news to anybody. And, although Industry 4.0 is not a new topic, it's an important one for us. We put this panel together today to provide an update on the situation of manufacturing in Canada, where we stand in the world. Would you guys mind putting your microphones on mute, please? There's one. Okay, great, thank you. And we also want to provide a reference that, that hopefully will give some advice. And of course, there's some contacts here of some people that have been through it, some pioneers in Quebec that have embraced Industry 4.0. And, one of the things you'll hear is there's an openness to share some of the pitfalls and some of the advice that hopefully will help others. So as we weather this storm, everybody's looking for solutions to solve their production problems quickly and easily and pivot into new markets, such as was our situation at AV&R. There's labor shortages, there's modernization of production tools to compete internationally. In some cases, there's an increase in production, or the pivot to another market forces you to increase production in new things. And Industry 4.0 has concepts to address this. And as we were preparing, there was one thing that I picked up that I really liked. This is an evolution, not a revolution. The way I digest Industry 4.0, it's the modern version of lean manufacturing. So you're going to hear a lot of the speakers talk about this. We used to walk the floor, measure how far our parts are going, measure the work in progress, the waste, and then innovate around that. So now we've got different tools, but it's a similar type of process to get better at building the things that we're building. So the panel that we put together today, we've got 3 business owners. We've got Yves Proteau from APN Global. We have Matthew Dubois from Pressinov and Louis Vellieux from Groupe Mondial. We also have Veronique Prou from the MEQ, who's going to give us an update on the status of manufacturing, and she's put together some really interesting stats. I have my co-host is Philippe Bellis-Dockril from Axya, also known as Grad 4. So there's a little announcement there that they have a new name. So I'm pleased to break that news to everybody. Next slide, Marlene, please. I'll start things off with some of the stats. This is one that I love to share. I've been in automation for 20 plus years, and there's always a stigma around robots and adopting automation. And this was a stat out of the US robotics roadmap that was updated in October, and it shows the adoption of robots and trending against the amount of manufacturing jobs. And you see they go hand in hand. So, that stigma, I'm happy to say when I approach customers now, that stigma is not there anymore. Everyone's embracing technology, and I believe that this will only continue. So with that, what I'll do, I'll kick it over to Felix, and he has a little introduction to Axya, and he'll talk a little bit about how they're approaching Industry 4.0.
Thank you, Michael. So my name is Felix. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Axya. We created a platform to facilitate collaboration between manufacturing companies and machine shop. So here's a short video about how it works and what type of support we provide. You can see the view of a manufacturing company, a machine shop, where they can track the quotation that they made on different offers, and also access all the information about contract that they got on our platform. And one thing that is interesting to highlight here is how we leverage the data gathered on the platform and make it actionable for the users. So a supplier can see historical data that they had and reports about how they position themselves in the market with anonymized data. Because I think it's something that we'll talk a lot about today, how we can leverage data to take better decision. And this was a short example of how we use it at Axya. So with that being said, I'll kick it back to Michael.
Great, thank you, Felix. Okay, so we'll start with Veronique. So she's going to give us an update. She's prepared a few minutes of some very interesting stats on the Canadian manufacturing. Welcome, Veronique.
Hi, thank you. I just have a doubt here on what slide I'm putting on. Just give me a sec. What happened here? Just give me 1 second and I'll be right there. I'm sorry, I think I closed it just earlier on. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second here.
Problem, you look like a good multitasker, like myself.
Yeah, but like too much stuff here. I closed it when I tried it earlier on. Okay, I'm getting there. Ok, ça sera pas long. J'y arrive. There we go. You see my first slide?
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for this invitation. Really happy to be here on this webinar that's organized by AV&R and Axya, I guess now. My name is Véronique Proulx. I'm CEO for Quebec Manufacturers and Exporters, and I'm also Senior Vice President for Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters. Donc, mon nom est Véronique Proulx. Je suis présidente directrice générale pour les manufacturiers et exportateurs du Québec, mais j'ai également des fonctions nationales comme à titre de vice-présidente pour les manufacturiers et exportateurs du Canada. So for those who don't know as well, Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters is the oldest and largest industrial association in Canada. Our mandate is to ensure the growth of the manufacturing sector, and to do so, we represent our members to the governments. We are their voice to the federal and provincial governments. So we have offices in each province of the country, of course. There are three main areas of policy where we are very active at the federal level. So trade issues, renegotiation of NAFTA, we were very much present, tariffs on steel and aluminum, and all the other trade issues. The second are environment and energy files. And the third, and not the least, is innovation. So innovation is really one of our core values. And we've been working for years to see how we can increase the productivity of our manufacturing sector to be more competitive on local and international markets. So very happy to be here on this theme that is very important for us. So just to give you an update of, what is manufacturing in Canada? I put in Quebec as well, because I know a lot of our participants are from Quebec, so we'll give you some perspective. We have over 90,000 manufacturing companies across Canada, over 600 billion in sales, direct employment, 1.67 million people across Canada, which is quite impressive, I think. And share of export goods, 64.3%. And if you look in Quebec, we have a higher percentage where 86.5% of all exported goods are manufacturing. So once again, when we look at our trade balance and the impact that manufacturing can have on creating value in Canada, we are certainly one of the major players. And I would like to say that we have been the backbone of the Canadian economy, and we will continue to do so if we maintain investment and increase our competitiveness. So just before I go to the next slide, I want to talk about innovation and investment. Why are we talking about Industry 4.0? Why is it so important to accelerate investment in new technologies? Well, I would say that it has been proven that companies that invest in digital technologies have a better growth outlook than those who don't. And today we'll have a panel where we will have a few SMEs who can share their stories, and we will see that this is definitely something that has brought them to be successful and that will help them to grow in the future. And I would add that Industry 4.0 is really transforming the world of manufacturing. It's lowering our operating costs, it's increasing our flexibility and responsiveness, and it's also reducing waste and improving product quality. And I would say that, when you look at large multinational, a lot of companies are investing year after year in Industry 4.0. They understand the importance. They're very much exposed to international markets, and that they know that if they want to maintain or increase their market share, they have to do so. But where we do lack is really at the SME level, where we are behind in terms of productivity, in terms of investing in 4.0, and this is really where we need to focus and work on. So I will bring you to this slide that gives you a bit of the situation of where we are in terms of growth business capital investment over the 5 past years. And growth business capital means investment in technologies, in machinery and equipment as well. And Canada is right over here in red. So one of the latest countries, we have had over the 5 past years a growth of 6% in capital investment. And just to give you an idea, US and UK are respectively at 26 and 30%. So already we're behind. The gap is really widening because we're not investing fast enough to be able to catch up most of our competitors, actually. And this is an analysis that was done by the OECD. I will take you to the next slide. So we are behind, but there is hope. There is hope. CME has conducted a study last summer. So during the pandemic, with over 550 companies across Canada, SMEs, larger companies as well, in all provinces, to see many things. But one of the things that we surveyed them on is, does your company plan on making any major new investments in Canada over the 3 next years? And I find this slide and this response really encouraging. So 66% of the respondents plan on expanding production capacity. 76% plan on purchasing new machinery, equipment, or technologies. 69% on upgrading IT systems. So this is really important in the perspective of Industry 4.0. 70% plan on investing in R&D and new product development. And finally, 77% plan on investing in workforce training. And this is also very important, of course. As you know, it is we need to have the right skills and the right talents to be able to invest in new technologies and our IT systems as well. Now, once we've said this, what are the main challenges that await for us? Now, there are many of them, as you can see on this slide, but one of the most important ones I find is the availability of skilled personnel. In Quebec, we talk a lot, in Quebec and Ontario, we talk a lot about labor shortage with skilled and unskilled personnel, but it is an issue across Canada and is clearly an issue that will hold back companies from investing in Industry 4.0. And BDC conducted a study a few years ago to see what are the main barriers to companies investing, once again, in Industry 4.0. And the lack of personnel was clearly one. So if you don't, you're planning on investing 1 million, 5 million, 10 million in your production line, but you don't have the expertise to do your project, you're not sure if you'll have the personnel to work in your plant once you're able to increase your production capacity and grow markets, you might hold back that project. So for us, this is really an important issue. And just before we started, this was actually what we were talking about. It's one of the main issues or struggles for manufacturers across Canada. I sort of introduced the slide, but 3 main barriers if we want to overcome the lack of productivity we have in manufacturing. And once again, I'll focus really on SMEs because I find that this is really where we need to focus more if we want to increase our competitiveness across Canada. So the first barrier is lack of information about technologies that are available. So it's interesting that today we have a lot of companies who are attending this webinar because it's one of the things that I guess we want to be able to show is that there are technologies available. AV&R is definitely a solution provider that could be interesting for many companies across Canada. But when you manage your own SME, you are a manufacturer, you lack resources, you have a lot of ambition, you have a lot of project, but often you don't have all the expertise in-house. So this is one of the reasons why companies say they don't go ahead with their projects. Second, high purchase costs and uncertain ROI. So once again, you're planning on investing a lot in your production line. You have, the investments you could make are limited, but what's your return on investment? And how can you access that information? How can you access that expertise to be able to evaluate if you should go ahead with your project or not? And finally, as I mentioned before, labor and skill shortages is really a huge issue. So once I've said this, this is an ongoing conversation we've had at Canadian manufacturers and exporters with the provincial governments, but federal governments as well, to see how they can support you in increasing investment, increasing having access to the labor and skill shortages you need, or the skilled or unskilled labor that you need, rather. And we've had a budget last week, federal budget last week. It seems already like it's been a month away, but there's been a huge stimulus package that has been put in place to help manufacturers invest. So there's the Strategic Innovation Fund I encourage you to look into. There are tax credits as well. At the provincial level, Quebec had his budget a few weeks ago, and there's a lot of money that has been forwarded to incentivize company to invest. So I think there's part of the solution there, but I also encourage you all, to look into this, but to listen to what will be said today, to see, where you can learn, have access to information, share with other companies as well to see what are their best practices to go ahead with our projects and to go ahead with your projects. Because once again, if you want to maintain your market share and if you're planning on growing your market share, Industry 4.0 is really the road that you have to take. So I'll stop here. I'll be happy. I won't be able to stay for the whole webinar, but if you do have questions, if you would like to further discuss with me, it'll be my pleasure. Don't hesitate to send me an email or to call me. I'll stop here, Michael. Thank you.
Okay, great. I mean, really appreciate it, Veronica. And this slide that you have up here, those three topics, I hope we can touch upon all of them and get some experience from our panel here, because those really are important ones. Speaking from experience, we AV&R, we were traditionally known for exporting. We were 17 different countries, and through the pandemic, we've had to pivot and we had to reintroduce ourselves a little bit at home and say, we're still open for business and we have our technologies evolved. And to answer some of those, because SMEs, you're right, the cost and the barrier to entry for the price of some of this technology, every dollar is so important for the SMEs. So it'll be interesting to hear how some of the panel has tackled that, and what did they do first, second, and how they adjusted for some of the failures, because that comes along too. And then the third point about the skilled workforce, we work closely with some of the universities such as ETS or University of Sherbrooke, and some of the minds that are coming out of there, the practical touch in robotics and technology and the theoretical. So the universities have been addressing that, and it's, we have to take a chance on some of the young guys coming out of school, and that really adds a breath of fresh air into an organization. So I appreciate the insight. So what we'll do, we'll kick off and we'll open up to the panels, and I'll start off with Yves. And Yves, you've been known, APN has become nominated as a Industry 4.0 example. So it'd be great to hear what it means for you and what started you off on that journey. I think you've been down the road, and when it comes to building a factory, you could probably build one fully Industry 4.0 compliant. So I'd love to hear, what does it mean for you, and how do you measure your success?
In fact, the way that I measure my success right now is by how much I use that technology, because we a lot of the time we speak about knowing the technology, after that developing and implementing the technology. But today, where we are is how we can push that technology. It's like to have a Formula One car and be able to drive at the maximum. But the most important thing for a lot of the company that I speak with is to start, because they all dream to win the F1 race, but they didn't start to drive a go-kart. And that's the biggest problem that we have right now. They have plenty of money to purchase technology. We have a lot of support from the government, but for what I speak with, like people in government, IQ is the will to put all the energy to win that Formula One, and that's the biggest problem that I see, because technology is there, money is there. Like, people speak about lack of personnel to do it, but like at APN, what we have the most difficulty to hire is people at I would say at bottom of the pyramid. That means that floor people at shipping, people doing polishing. That's where we have the most problem. But place where it's easiest is to find PhD, to find people with master degree in science, people have bachelor degree. After that, start to become more difficult when you you look for people coming from CEGEP. After that, it's more finding a machinist is kind of magic. You have to do some of the thing that is more related to the mafia than to the normal business, trying to give grant to school and speak with the professor. But like, what is most important to transform a company is to have those PhD, master degree by engineer, people for business administration, psychology. Right now, we need more people in this aspect, because to try to push the technology to maximum, we need more people who have the psychology capability than technical capability. It was what I said to my director of R&D and 4.0 this week. I said, stop to read the technical book, start to read psychology books, and because all the game is there. That's about what I can say to open that conversation.
I think you mentioned an important aspect with psychology. And Louis Veilleux, I heard you talk about how you approach 4.0 with your clients. So maybe you could give us more information about your perception of 4.0, but really in the aspect of collaborating with your clients and how you implement those projects. And I think you're on mute, Louis.
That's a classic of 2021. Years ago, Yves told me about you got to start somewhere. I listened to him and we did the start. So our journey in 4.0 was always about the human. So we're actually on 5.0 as much as 4.0. And how we should tackle our customer is the same thing as our internal customer, because our pyramid is I'm at the bottom of the pyramid, and I'm pushing to help my people to provide good service to my supplier, to my internal customer, and my external customer. So that's the idea of lean manufacturing since 1947. But old ideas and new ideas working together are great. If you're able to provide information to your customer and provide the information they want in a timely manner, they want accessible for them, and quality data for the customer, and quality data that your interaction with customer, because where I got really hooked on 4.0 was about the whole collaboration thing, because if we're able to collaborate better within our companies, which is very important, because some people want to be good at outside, but they're really not so good inside. It's hard. So you got to be good at what you're doing first. And what, I'm a fan of Yves Proto, by the way, so I really listen to what he say. I go see for myself what he does and what he does in his company, and he's done tremendous things. But one thing that is hard to see when you go see companies like APN, and when you come and see our companies is everything we do, we try to be very good at, if not the best, because if you have a system and you work it like Yves Formula One, if you drive your Formula One but you always finish last and you hit every wall you see going down, well, you're not a driver, okay? You're a shitty driver. But if you have an ERP system, if you have a quality system in place, and you make yourself the best as using it. And that's the trick with 4.0, because a lot of people want to sell you all the toys, all the connecting things. But if you're not good at using them, you're just hitting the walls faster and faster and faster. You're going to kill yourself in a wall at some point. So I think having the right mindset about the philosophy of how you drive your people, you make sure your people in your team are within reach of that technology, but understanding. If you want, yes, you have the Formula One, but you want the drivers to be good at it, and that is so important. So training is very important, and bringing everybody up to speed, because we're not all technical people, and some are really computer savvy and some aren't. And as I explained, our poster boy, our first test, our first run, as Yves said, you got to start somewhere. We start with a guy my age, and that's old, and a guy my age, and he was the poster boy of 4.0 in our plant. And that gave the idea of everybody else. If these guys can do it, everybody can do it. Well, we choose a good guy, a good old guy like me, and we want to make sure that we provide him not only with technology but with lean manufacturing behind that, because 4.0 and 5.0 is still linked to any type of behavior that we have in the lean manufacturing. You know, we talk about KPIs all the time, but we do forget about the key BI, the behavior indicator. And if we have the right people with the right behavior, with the right tools, and you don't succeed, then change the president, because you have everything to succeed, and you find where the problem is. So I think it's very important, 4.0, but you gotta be to put all the effort to be not good at it, to be excellent, if not the best at it.
Yeah, Louis, when we were preparing, you planted a couple seeds when we were preparing for this webinar. But one thing that that you mentioned, you know, you said Yves was a good friend of yours, and you looked what he did, and by Yves being open and you being able to ask questions, you saved countless amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. So I see that as an important point as well too. You know, we've got a group, a small panel here, but reaching out and asking and you know, collaborating amongst other manufacturers, I think that's an important element to in the behavior. You know, there's nothing more that Veronique would like than to say Quebec, Canada is a great place to do business. It's a thriving ecosystem, and we have to get there through collaboration and opening up a little bit to our neighbors and asking those questions and inviting them to see our successes too.
Yeah.
So Matthew, you're at a little different stage in your evolution, or your evolution.
Yeah.
And maybe tell us a little bit about, you know, what you're working towards and what you're working on and how it's been.
Yeah. First, for me, it's great to be on a panel with Yves and Louis. For sure, those two guys with their groups are really deeper in 4.0 than me. So, but as they say, and Yves said it, you're looking for a Formula One, but you might drive a go-kart first. So I will say that we're more at the point that we're experiencing a go-kart. So, but that's great because we have to start somewhere. But for us, well, 4.0, we start because we have a big growth in the last year. So we start and we have, as everybody, problem of hiring manpower. So we starting to automate our production. So we bought in 2015 our first robot cells, and now we have 6 of them, and now we're working on 24/7 and running lights out. So when you're starting to plan on 24 hours, you want to go more in planning mode, not in react mode. So that's where for us 4.0 came a big. That's where we will find we can have a big gain with that. But so we've done a couple of things, and lately we've tried to implement a software that was supposed to communicate to each other, and we have been tricked, I will say like that, with a magical solution already made, and that was supposed to really work well. But I will have to say that for now it's a kind of failure. We're working at it, but it will take a lot more effort and time that we have expect. But we stick to the plan because you have to start somewhere. We understand the what we can reach with that and what is good for us, and we believe it. But I will say an advice I can do is try to have some other advice and have some example. Let someone who have the magical solution show you how it's work somewhere there, and make more research, and it probably helps you.
In fact, if I can continue on what you said, I did a presentation at the École d'entrepreneuriat de la Beauce. Did a 24-hour there, and they asked me to speak about innovation. And at the beginning, I said, I'm not too innovator. I think I'm more hard worker than innovator. Like I listen and I read what is written, and I listen what I can watch. And after that, I work and work and work. I said to the group, I said, I innovate probably 2 days in the year, and after that, do hard work for 250 more, and that's where come the result. It's not nothing is magic. Nothing is magic. And today, like when we speak about 4.0, it's because we have new tool. We have tool that only the big company could purchase in a past, like robot. It was only if the big company will have big budget, and even the ERP, big software. But today it's available. After that is hard work to implement it, and what's important is to start and to stop to think about it. Like we had an experience with a small company that we are partnered together, and they didn't have ERP at all. And we said, okay, we analyze, and then we decide. And when we said go, 2 months after, it was finished, like all implemented, and we are doing re-implementing a new ERP system at EPN. And same thing, we said go in January, and right now the first phase is finished 1 month before the consultant told us that it could be possible, and it's cost us 25% of the budget that we put at the beginning with the help of the consultant, but it's only hard work from our team, and that's what is important. They have no magic on it. It's only hard work, but we have to start. Money is there, people are there, young people are good, but start.
Yeah, if I may continue on what Yves just said on the start and the commitment of continuing and making sure that, yes, guys like Yves see the whole picture, see years in advance, but you gotta cut that vision into well, I like the 3-month thing, because you have little leap of 3 months and make sure you're building that cathedral. If you want to see all the rocks to build that cathedral, people will just run away. But if you start building slowly and making sure that the whole plan is going to work well, and you can change the cathedral on the way because it's changing, but at least you're going to know you're going to build this very large thing that works. And that's the beauty, really, of the 4.0, of being able, and the 5.0. I hate to bring up the 5 already, because we're already passed on, right? 5 is there. Yves told me that 3 years ago. He said, we're talking about 4, but 5 is already here. Jesus, we don't know what 4 means. What are we gonna do with 5? Well, it's basically the human and the system working better together, which to me makes a lot more sense than just having gizmos and gadget working in your plant and thinking you got the control because you got all this thing in front of you, but you don't know what to do with it, or you don't know how to analyze the data, and you don't bring it to the shop floor, to your customer, to your supplier. But so making sure that we're able to go deep down again with it, and we see the big picture, is very important.
I think it's super important in really breaking it into pieces. Like Mathieu explained, he started with 1 cell, and now he's at 6, and you build in those small success and you leverage them to implement new project. One thing that Yves mentioned I think is important is the partners you work with, who are the consultants, and also to a certain extent the university. Maybe some of you could give some concrete tips on how to select your partner or some pitfall to avoid. And maybe Mathieu, you could start on how you selected your partner for a 4.0 implementation and some tips for people listening.
Well, for us, it's kind of a little simple. We are a smaller business, so we don't have all the skills and we'll say the knowledge in-house. So it's just a way to add this to our business. And one big thing when we're choosing a partner for that, we want want them to help us, but mostly we want them to train us. We want the knowledge they brought will stay in our business also for the future.
If I may, about outside help, I'm kind of the black sheep of the bunch there because of course, we do sometimes use outside help, but I love so much my people that I want to make sure that I keep them, I keep their dream going, and I don't want to lose the right people that I have. So I make sure that they don't run out of challenge. And a lot of our team at 4.0 numeric transformation people, all of them comes from our shop floors and our engineers and people that were in the company already and they were growing. And so unlike Eve, and I'd love to have some people with PhDs and so on, we don't have that. Well, we do have some people with master degree, but we also have people that have been are engineer in the field where they're not working at all in this field. But we're trying to get the knowledge out of people, and it's not so complicated because everything is there. It's all written there, and you want to make sure that you connect the thing and that collaboration. You said, visiting plant. Eve has been open his plant to a lot of companies. We're doing the same. We actually have now a robot where you can actually visit our plant without visiting our plant. You don't have to be in our plant to visit the plant. We send you a link and our customer can actually come and see his product being built right now. So with COVID, it's pretty good. And since we're in the red zone, so this bring a lot more. I did my Gamba walk this morning with this robot being going around the plant and seeing and giving a slap in the back of the people that done some great jobs on the go. But so having the right people in and making sure that you build on the people you have is very important, because when you have a consultant and you don't have the right people or right team in your plan, you'll need consultant all the time. You'll need these crouchers for the rest of your life. So you gotta have the idea of developing your own people with that. And I think consultants are great for that. But if you rely on them for the rest of your life, then your bottom line is going to look terrible. And at the end, you need that to pay for your 4.0, 5.0 adventure. You need to make a little bit of cash. I don't want to sound like the capitalist of the bunch, but you still need to be able to make some profit out of it.
I agree with that. And consultant has to help you to go faster in your process and your implementation.
Yep.
So we got a good comment in the chat section, and they mentioned good processes owned by your people on the floor and in front of the customers is the starting point. So when I listened to you guys, you said, okay, let's get started. And some of sometimes you have to build that process. So the hard work, the practicing of trying things, allowing yourself to fail a little bit, but managing that. So you're going to build this strong process. Now, when does it stop? Does it stop? To me, when I listen to you guys, you're charging forward here, and you're trying to build that gap. You're trying to get to the forefront. So talk about that. So how do you find what's next? Is it through conversations like we're having now, or is it really internally focused? Where do you find the topics?
You have to look outside, be open. Like when like for APN, when we speak about partner, we are a company that we have a lot of visit, and then we have a lot of person comment our company, and we listen to those comments, and after that work to improve. We are linked to I think 5 Polytechnic, with ETS, with University of Sherbrooke, Laval, and all for different reasons. Like I'm working right now with University of Sherbrooke because of the psychological thing. Like we with people there who are quite advanced with the relation of the employee related to the 4.0, and we're working with Laval for everything related to programming, algorithm, artificial intelligence. Same thing with ETS with 4.0. And you have to when you speak with those people who have, in fact, that's the only thing that they have to do, like to think about the future. That stimulate us a lot. Like when Louis speak about 5.0. 5.0 is kind of the comeback of the human over that technology, and that's what I'm speaking with the University of Sherbrooke right now. What I got article, a report from Europe from one of my teammate to look at it and said, Eve, you should look at it because you would be interested. We work directly with robot company, with KUKA, with the machine tool company, with the top of those company. And when we push and we tell them that we want to be in front, they always present us what could bring us to the front, and that's what is interesting. And when you are interested, they will help you to go further, and you have to listen, read, and don't be like, even if we are known as technological, like right now what we read is more related to psychology, because we develop more new system, new way of doing things, new process, then we can implement it. That means that we were unbalanced. That means we had too much thing in the process and not enough result. Then after that, we changed. We had people on implementing it because we were unbalanced, and you always have to think about what you are doing good, doing bad, be very critic about yourself, and that's why you will improve your company. But it's I did it when I was at I did a presentation when I started at Julian Incorporated in Quebec City. It was over 30 years ago, and we were implementing ERP system. And at the end of my presentation, I said to the group, I said, we are entering to a never-ending process. That means that it's not after the implementation, it won't be the end of the project. It will, in fact, it's the beginning of a journey that will never end. It will end for ourselves when we're retired, but for our company, if it's end, that will be the end of the company. That's why that's how we should understand it. And right now, it will be worse for the company who are not in that race, because it's going so fast right now that, and we see the result. We see the result in profit and productivity. That like if people are not in the race right now, they should start to. They should call us to sell their company, and then that will be better for them instead to lose everything.
We had a great question in the chat about in which area of the plan you started implementing 4.0. And Louis, you had an answer. Maybe you want to share it with everyone and a concrete example of that implementation.
Yeah, Actually, we had an area where we struggled for years, trying to keep people. We had 3 job opening on that area. This area was known as hell because it was the saw area where it was a lot of challenge, and the inventory didn't work there. Work was not efficient, and we needed to work around the clock. And that's the old man like me I spoke about. So our poster boy. So he was open to do well. The first thing is having people open mind to try something. As I said, it was hell, and we came to this area and said, can we do something about it? And the answer was yes. Well, let's do something. So we connected this department, the first department, and the person was able actually to, with the right data, making sure that the inventory was correct there, and he was part of it. And he was also able to manage the actual work flow. And by managing himself the workflow, being able to move things around, giving him the control, he was able not only to implement the whole 4.0. He was the first in the plant that was paperless. He's the first that was able to increase his productivity by twofold. Okay, so more than 20%. I'm really proud to say that. It's a lot more than 20%. And we were able to bring down a quality issue, and actually there's only one job opening that we brought a new person in, not because we needed him, because I am a firm believer of having a plan B on everything I do, beside my marriage, which is plan A only. But it's really important to, so this success was a good threshold to get all the other people around saying, see, it works, and it give more power to the person, and it bring down the burden of the work, and the numbers talk by themselves. He was able to achieve days with over 130% of performance. So when you see your own performance at the end of the day, you go home and you're proud of that. That's the part that really ticks me, when my people are eager to come to work because they're gonna have a great day, and they go home very happy with a great day that they fulfill with productivity and all of that. So that's the story.
So Louis, for you, the worst place to work was the best place to start.
Yes, but I'm not saying do all of that, because that was a little bit crazy. But
Yeah.
we didn't have anything to lose. It was already hell. So anything better would have been okay. But I'm not saying I just did that because we had a meeting and we said, let's do it. And it was not, as Yves said, let's do it. So we went and we didn't think about it, because if we overthought that thing, we wouldn't do it.
Matthew, what was your first place that you started?
Well, I'll say for 4.0, it's when we start to produce 24/7 and lights off. So we're facing some issues at the beginning to make our, because we're a machine shop, so make our spindle really going through all the weekends and nights. We started to connect the machine to help us to know exactly when something happened or stuff like that, and then trying to collect data to predict when the machine will stop, or if something is changing in the process on the machine. So that's where we start, and it's still going. We're not done yet with that. It's not easy to have the right data at the right moment.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something important, is to use that data to take better decision at any given time. So Yves, you're well known for using your data. You have a good example of that. What were the benefits of using that data? Concrete example, you mentioned in the chat a saw that was connected. So how did it happen, and what were the benefits that you took out of it?
Is to take the decision. For me, I don't understand why people don't use data, because that means that they take decision without data. And as an owner, the only thing that I want to have is data, because I'm an expert to take decision. And but to take decision, I need data, and that's why we do everything to get all the data, because very often when I speak with like other people, like business is like magic. They said, why do you have a problem? I said, I don't know. In fact, that's sure they have data behind the problem, and we want to have data. I want to have data to take decision. I want to have my people having data to take decision. After that, when we take always the same type of decision, we automatize the decision. Then we don't need that people, high salary person taking simple decision. That's where we put algorithm and artificial intelligence on the process. But the basic is the data. Like at APN, where we start after like implementing everything that was named as 3.0, we start at what was most important for us was the process. Like we had to know the process to be able to improve the process. That means we capture all the information about the process. And then when we got all the information about the process, we were able to improve that process. Like we knew how much Enmil was using on a job, and then we focus on that toolpath on that Enmil, because that's where we had the problem. And because like finance people always ask us like for ROI, but we need to have that data to prove that a project is profitable and it's important. That's why like data for me is everything. Like data, no data, bad decision. Okay, after that it's only if you don't have data, it's like flipping a coin and take a decision with the coin, and it's dangerous.
Yeah. So we have a question from Benoit, and I'm going to twist it a little bit, because I think he talks about the perspective of top down versus bottom up in terms of implementation. But I think maybe it's important, we've got you guys as leaders of your companies. I think it's important we speak to the leadership in manufacturing around, and embracing this, and setting the tone for what you expect from your organization. And you guys have to be the ones carrying the torch for improving the processes, and embracing the innovation, and creating a culture where you're allowed to try things, and you're allowed to try and improve things and bring ideas forward. So maybe Louis, if you want to talk about, is it, as a leader in your organization, what's been important for you in this change management process?
Well, it's a good question. In the change management process is to ensure that you keep everybody on board. It's like you're a general of an army, and you want to make sure that everybody come back from the field alive, not in a body bag. So being able to bring new people in if you have to, but finding the right people in your team and making sure they don't become casualties of Peter syndromes, that they reach a certain level and they start failing. They're the right people that you had there. So making sure that you train your people, that you actually have no glass ceiling in your companies. You might have somebody on your shop floor that's going to be, well, to me, it's my story. All my general manager have been on the shop floor. So, and they're talking in financial ways that they understand things, they have this feeling about the production. So not having a glass ceiling and being able to bring new people in that you're able to bring them in your organization as a whole, not as a silo of knowledge, or the collaboration has to be so, and learning from each other, as Yves said, we got to get out, but we got to get in also within each other, saying, I am not good at this portion, but I'm ready to listen and understand more, and ready to read and to learn a little bit about that. By the way, I'm really good at this, and I'm going to teach you why I'm good at this. And if I'm a good goalie, don't put me in the front line. Put me in the goal. I'll stop all the puck. But if you put me on the blue line, I'll be the worst player you have. So managing the talent, managing where everybody find his position in the company is a full-time job. That's the part of the job I love to do, I don't know if it answer your question. I'm always the people, but
for me, it's like you have to bring your people. Your people have to go forward in that process, but the top manager have to be the lead man. And if for the top manager is not his top 1, 2, 3 priority, forget about it, because it's a new way to manage the business. Okay, it's not only managing a business by having more sale or producing at lower costs or developing new product, is managing the company as a full system, that all the portion are integrated, removing all the silo in the company. And for that, it's the top manager who have to bring the company to that direction, hire people that will fit on that model. And I think that's the way to have the major success.
Great. Well, we're right at 12 o'clock, and we've got a pretty active chat, so we could go on for hours, I'm pretty sure. But I'd just like to take a minute and thank you, Yves, Louis, and Matthew for your time and sharing. For everyone listening, the collaboration is an important part, so feel free to reach out and ask questions. As you heard, Yves and Louis, they do open their plant for tours and stuff like that, and hopefully Matthew, you will too when as you work through your journey. Felix, thank you for being a great co-host, and best of luck with the new name. And we'll be looking for great things from you guys. So with that, I wish everybody a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.